has eyes but cannot see. A potato! Let's plant potatoes. That potatoes grow from old potatoes. So if you find yourself with some old potatoes in your house, you could plant them. However, if you want to make sure that your crop is disease-free, it's really important to go ahead and go to a nursery or a farm supply store and find yourself some certified virus-free seed potatoes. They're going to look a little something like this. They're usually not as big as the potatoes that they will turn into. And they have all these eyes all over them, which is what's going to grow into your potato plant. So I have some old potatoes from my garden last season. It's actually quite a lot in here. And they have already started to sprout their eyes. You may be able to see that right there. That's a new sprout. So I could plant this potato and it will grow me a new potato plant, which could give me up to about 10 potatoes that I could harvest in late summer. I grew purple potatoes and Yukon Gold potatoes and red potatoes. And there's also potatoes called fingerlings. That's because they kind of resemble a finger. So when you get your seed potatoes home, they'll have a bunch of little eyes on them, but they haven't sprouted yet. So you want to find yourself some newspaper or cardboard and lay those potatoes out for about 1 to 2 weeks, and the eyes will start to sprout. Now you can actually get more than one potato plant from an old potato. As long as you have 1 or 2 eyes on the section of potato that you plant, you'll grow a new plant. So for instance, this one has 1, 2, and there's some smaller eyes on here. But I could just cut this into 2, and I could grow 2 plants from this. If you decide to cut your potatoes, you want to leave them for another day inside your house to heal over. And it kind of makes this scab on your potato. It keeps water from rotting your potato when you first plant it. Also helps to keep disease out. When you're laying your potatoes out inside your house for that 1 to 2 weeks, it's called chitting, C-H-I-T-T-I-N-G, and that's basically just the process of allowing the eyes to sprout before you plant them. It just gives them a head start in the ground. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it'll take quite a bit longer for your potatoes to start growing. This potato has a lot of eyes on it. I could grow a lot of potatoes out of this one. Now that our potatoes have chitted, we can plant them. There are many different ways you can plant potatoes. This first way is just in your garden. You want to find a spot in your garden that gets at least 6 hours of sunlight. You want to just slightly till up the land where you're going to be planting. And we're going to be using the hilling method. So the first thing we want to do is we want to dig a hole about 6 inches deep and about 1 foot in diameter. Look at this beautiful soil. Okay. All right. There's our hole. And it's as easy as placing the old potato into the hole. There is one thing to be aware of though. You want to make sure that the eye is facing up, because the eye is going to be where the shoot or the stem comes out. So if you put it in upside down, the stem would start growing down. It would never reach the surface and get to the sunlight. So ultimately it would just die. So eye facing up, place it into the bottom of the hole and cover it about a ½ inch with the extra soil that you had. Firm it down and water. And that's basically it. If you want to plant more in your row, leave about a foot of space and dig another hole. Now the reason why we put the potatoes in holes is because as they grow, we're going to put soil around them and make a hill. And that's because potatoes grow off of the stem that's underground. So the higher we can put the stem underground, the more potatoes we can get. So here's another hole we're digging. Something I like to do when I'm planting is put a little bit of organic fertilizer in the bottom of the hole and rake it in. I usually have fish meal, which is basically just ground up dried fish bits. But right now I don't have any. But I do have some worm castings. So I have a worm bin, and inside my worm bin there are some red worms and newspaper, and I put old scraps from leftover meals that we have, but no meat or anything like that, just like fruit, rinds and apple cores and vegetable trimmings, that kind of stuff, into the worm bin. And the worms eat that up and they poop out this stuff, which is really, really good for your garden. So I'm going to take a handful of that and place it in the bottom of the hole and kind of work it into the soil, and then plant another potato. Eye up, cover it up with soil about a ½ inch over the top, lightly pat it, and water. Alright, you can also grow potatoes in bags. I have a burlap bag here, and there are many reasons why you might want to grow potatoes in a bag. One reason is you don't have to dig your potatoes out when they're ready to harvest. You can just dump your bag out and the potatoes just fall out. Another reason might be that there isn't a lot of room in your garden and you don't want to take up precious space growing potatoes, which take quite a bit of room. Yet another reason is maybe you live in apartments and you just have a patio. You can still grow potatoes on your patio as long as you get at least 6 hours of sunlight a day. You can grow potatoes. So how do we grow potatoes in a bag? This is a burlap sack. I got it from a local coffee roaster. I just emailed them. I asked them if I could have any of their leftover bags from the bulk coffee beans that they get in. And they said sure, and I went in and I got about 40 bags. So it was really, really cool. Just ask the local businesses, they're really quite helpful. So the first thing you want to do is take your bag and roll it down. Roll the sides down. We're going to fill this bag up about a quarter of the way with soil. You can get potting soil from the store. You could use compost, anything like that. So first we'll want to fill it a quarter of the way with soil. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure to shake it so it gets all the way to the bottom. Shake, shake, shake. You might need to roll down some more. All right, we got a good amount of soil in there. Let's plant the potatoes in the bag. What's kind of cool about potatoes is their sprouts will tell you what color the potato is. So if you see this purple sprout, this is a purple potato. This one has the yellow, so it's going to be a yellow potato. And these two have a red in their sprouts, and that will tell you that they're a red potato. Sometimes it's hard to tell from just the outside of the potato, especially those seed potatoes that you buy from the store. All right, so to plant in the burlap sack, you're gonna do it just like you did in the hill. You'll go ahead and just place them in sprout side up. In one sack, I would only do two potatoes in there. It's kind of a small area and they will compete for nutrients and water and space. So if you put too many in there, you'll probably get a lot of small potatoes and not a whole lot of big potatoes. Once they're in there, you'll take a couple more scoops of your soil or your compost, lay it on top. Make sure you're filling the bag all the way to the sides. And that's it. It's late March here in Western Washington, and I've just went out and planted some of my potatoes. Now normally you would be able to plant, whoa, hey, come back. Chicken, calm chicken for the video. All right, normally you would plant your potatoes from April until June. I like to plant just a few early. If there was a heavy frost, it could kill those plants that I planted early, but I'm really willing to take that risk because I could get very early potatoes. Potatoes take about 3 months to grow. So if you plant them in April, you can get potatoes in July. And when you're watering your soil with your potatoes, you just want to make sure that you keep the soil moist. And we did the soil shake test in another video that helps you to determine what type of soil texture you have. So if you have a lot of sand in your soil, you'll be watering more often. And if you have more clay in your soil, you'll be watering less often. However, if you did plant your potatoes in a burlap sack, you will have to water more often. They dry out much more quickly than if you plant them in the ground. So go out, plant some potatoes, and have fun. Be free, birdie, be free.